Hello, and welcome to True Audiophiles. My name's Jim Carter. In this episode, I'm going to go over some of my desert island favorites. I'm not 100% sure if this is my entire list, because I might come back with a part two at some point, but these are definitely five of my top albums that I love, top five albums of all times that I really love. Aren't in any particular order, because I just could not possibly do that. And like I said, I'm sure that I will come up with five more at some point and maybe do a later episode on that. And maybe I'll even break it down by top five in each different genre too. So, because I know there's definitely a few others that I might even have as an honorable mention listed here, but I might hold that off until the maybe part two of this. But we'll start off with, let's say, part one of my five desert island classic albums. First one is going to be, this one's a tough one, is the Beatles' White Album. Between this, Abbey Road, and probably Let It Be and Sgt. Pepper, all those ones are probably, I could interchange them in a given day depending on what I'm in the mood for. So, but this one is just an awesome album from beginning to end. I think there's only one song that I'm not a huge fan of on here, but overall, just an amazing album. Just such a range of different styles of music that are on here too. Just incredible, and it's just, I can't say anything enough about it. How awesome of an album it is. Before I go too much further, I also kind of want to give a shout out. This shirt is from another YouTube channel out there, a little bit bigger than mine, a little bit more professional than mine. It's called Banger, or Banger TV, headed by a gentleman who's done a lot of documentaries and on rock albums and rock bands and things on that nature. But if you really like heavy metal, and you really want to learn about heavy metal and go deeper into the metal scene, check out Banger TV. They're just an amazing group of people that have an amazing depth of knowledge of just metal music in general. So, all right, I'm going to move on now to my next one, which is Stone Temple Pilots' Purple. This was, I believe, their second album, and it just blew me away when I heard it. When I first heard this album, I just couldn't believe how amazing it was from beginning to end. If you could wear out a CD, I think I probably did that with this album. I was able to luckily score a early pressing about a year and a half ago, I think it was, on this one. And so happy I did. I actually have the music on vinyl version, but this one, which is one of the early pressings, is actually just a much better version sound-wise, and so happy I was able to scoop this one up. But Stone Temple Pilots, for about 3 or 4 albums, were just, to me, one of the best bands going at the time. They're sort of kind of in that grunge scene, but I don't know, they just had something extra. They had that pop sensibility that some of the grunge bands were, more metal or punk or hard rock inspired, where these kind of had more of a pop undertone to them, and just really had memorable songs. The vocals were great, and just an amazing group. And this was definitely, in my opinion, their best album. Although the other first 3 or 4 were just amazing too. This next one, at least the person will probably not come as too much of a surprise to you, but maybe the album will. And again, another one that, like the Beatles, that was really hard to choose a specific album. And, I might even go later on and do a top 5 Prince albums of mine, or maybe my top 5 underrated Prince albums of all times. If that's something that's interest to you, please leave it in the comments section. But I have chosen Prince, and Dirty Mind. Just a really cool album. It's what's interesting on this one to me is not just the fact that he does most, if not all, the instruments on this, but also this has a more rock or new age feel to new wave, not new age, new wave feel to it than it does funk. Although obviously it still has a lot of heavy funk influence on it too. But I think that's what sets this one apart from most of his other albums. It really has kind of a new wave feel to it, and it really is more so than what you'll see in most of his other albums. And I know that there was a group that he put together around this time frame, and the name of the band escapes me now, that he wanted to release an album of that music. And there's still somewhere in the vault, I think there's still, that album exists, and I hope someday that we will get to hear that album in a high quality sound. But I think it was kind of a predecessor to this album, and this, elements of that, the stylings of that band, if you will, kind of made its way onto this album, and it's just an incredible album. Happy to have been able to score a promo copy of this one a couple years ago. So I figured I had to kind of throw in here a jazz album. Not just because I had to throw in jazz, but just because jazz is a very important part of my life as well. Very hard to find one specific album, and I think back when I did the Influences album, I was thinking about, or I'm sorry, not the Influences album, the Influence episode that I recorded. I was thinking about showing a compilation album that I got that really got me into deeper into jazz, but this is from that same artist, and it's John Coltrane. This is Blue Train. Just an amazing album, great sounding recording. Recorded by Rudy Van Gelder. This is actually a very early pressing. I don't think it's a first pressing, but it's a very early one. Very psyched to get it. Unfortunately, it's not in the greatest condition, so I would love to replace this with one that's in much better condition. But hopefully someday I will find it. But just an awesome album. I also love the song, or his version of My Favorite Things too. That's probably one of my favorite songs of his. So just a cool rendition. I know there's a lot of different variations of that, a lot of live versions, but my favorite's probably the studio version. But there's just some awesome live ones too. All right, this one is from another band that's kind of similar to the Stone Temple Pilots, where their first few albums were just unbelievable, and just couldn't get enough of them, and just wore out, if you can, again, wear out a CD. But this one is Black Crowes, Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, and in my opinion, just not a bad song on this album. Just really incredible. Love this album. Just the whole thing. Sting Me Remedy, Thorn on My Pride, Bad Luck, Blue Eyes Goodbye, Sometimes Salvation, Hotel Illness. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. I mean, just every single song is just awesome. This is quite possibly my favorite album of all times, but I think it depends on the day, quite honestly. But just awesome. I saw them around this time as well. Put on an amazing show. Super excited to see them when I saw them, and they didn't disappoint, didn't let me down, and saw them a few more times after that. But just an incredible band. Unfortunately, I wish they were still together in their original form. I guess the rumor is that they're the two Robinson brothers, which I think are these two, are putting together a variation of the Black Crowes, not the original, but some variation of that sometime soon. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Wasn't as big of a fan of their later albums. They started to become a little bit more jam rock, kind of like a Fish or Grateful Dead style to them, and just really didn't appeal to me as much. But that album and their first album and the album or two after that were just incredible. So all right, well, there you have it. Those are my top five, or maybe my top five. My top five right now, Desert Island Classics. So I would love to hear what you think of the albums that I chose. I'd love to hear your top five Desert Island Classic albums that you can't be without. If you liked what you see here, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. And if you want to know when my new videos come out, please hit that alert bell and let you know when my new videos come out. Thank you very much for your time, and you guys have a great day.